So this is now Introduction to Computer Programming in C, and this is going to be part 2. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our Hello World program and we're going to use it. We're going to get rid of it, make another. I got rid of it. We're going to get rid of this Hello World program we're going to use it to look at variables. So this is part 2, and we're going to think about variables. So we've already seen that we start off with something about libraries. Hash includes standard.io.h, and then we have this main routine, main, int main, and then so what we're going to add here is we're going to define some variables. We're going to tell the computer about some variables. So now again, int, now this tells the computer about integers or whole numbers. So we're going to have an integer, we're going to have a couple of integers, we'll call them n1, comma, n2, semicolon. So we'll have two different there. So what we've done there is to find a label n1 and a label n2, or variables n1 and n2, which can hold numbers. And when we define them, they don't actually have any values. So we'll leave the statement in for print hello world. But what we'll do next is we'll give our variables some values. So let's say that n1 is equal to 8, and let's say n2 is equal to 5. Now this is another point to note about using the language of C, because we always finish commands with a semicolon. The computer knows to look for semicolons at the end of each command. So we can have these two commands where we set value for n1 and then we set the value for n2. We can set them next to each other. We don't have to put them on different lines. But on this, in this video, I'm going to write them both on the same line. If I was doing this on a computer, I'd probably put them on separate lines just to make it clearer. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to have a printf command, and we're going to look at how to print out values of variables onto the screen. So we saw up here how to print a message on the screen, and so we're going to have another statement here. Again, we write printf, open brackets and quotation marks, and now what I'm going to do is put in a %d and then a space and the word minus %d and the word equals %d, close the quotes, comma. Now, what's happening here is the percentage sign is a special code. It's a bit like, if you remember in the last video, the \n is a special code to tell the computer that you want a new line. Here, the percentage sign here is again a special character, and what it's showing is percentage D, percentage D, percentage D. They're saying what we're going to print out are going to be some numbers. And so now if you notice, we've got the open bracket started here, but I haven't actually finished it over there. And that's because what we need to put some more things in. So we've got within the double quotes what needs to be printed on the screen, but the percentage D means put a number in there, and there's 3 of those, so we need to put 3 numbers in there. So what we're going to put in now, I could write it on the same line, but I'm actually going to write it on the line below, because as I mentioned earlier, with semicolons, a semicolon tells the computer that it's the end of a statement, and if there's no semicolon on this line here, then it means that that statement's continuing. It could just continue on to the next line. And so what we can do, put N1 here. You can put N2, the next one. And then for the next number, I'm actually going to cheat a little bit and write down N1 minus N2. And then we're going to close the bracket, and then we're going to put the semicolon in to say that that's the end of the statement. Now, what that will print on the screen when we run the program, first of all, we're going to have it doing the printing of the hello world command there. But after that, we're going to have this next print statement where it's going to print a number minus another number equals a third number. And so N1, we set the value there to be 8. N2, we set the value to be 5. So what we expect, so we might do is use a different color for this and say the expected output is going to be, well, first of all, we expect it to write hello world, and then just below that it should write N1, which is 8, minus 5 equals, well, we do calculation 8 minus 5, that's 3, so 8 minus 5 is equal 3. So what we've done is we have defined some variables. So this is where we define variables. These are type here is int or integer, whole numbers, and we've called them N1, N2, and with this statement here, we have printed screen some letters and the values of variables. We've even done a calculation here of figure out the value of minus thing. Now we could add some more. We could have added another integer, n3, and then after we'd added that, we could have added another line here and said n3 is equal to n1 minus n2. Calculated that value there. And so here, where we have n1 minus n2, could have replaced, say, could replace n1 minus n2 with n3, because n3 is just the value of n1 minus n2. So there's two different ways we can do that, and depending on what you're wanting to do, one way or other may be better or worse. And in fact, in programming generally, there's often multiple ways of doing the same thing, and sometimes it matters, and one way is going to be much better than another, and another time it's really whichever way you prefer doing. It doesn't matter. Okay, so that's an introduction to thinking about variables, and we're thinking here about making some integer variables and defining them and doing a simple calculation with them and printing them. One final thing I'll say is that when you start doing more serious calculations rather than just adding, subtracting, taking away and multiplying and so forth, then you're going to want to add another thing here, which is to hash include math.h. Then when you've included that, you can then start adding more commands, like taking one number to the power of another number, and sine and cosine and other mathematics. It's a bit like turning a regular calculator into a scientific. Okay.